let's say we get rid of fiat currency, we get rid of paper currency. How do we do illegal shit? How do we buy drugs? How do we pay for pussy? How do we do things that we don't want people to know about?
Xanax is legally prescribed to treat anxiety. In this investigation, federal authorities have seized $22 million in assets, most of it in that digital currency, Bitcoin.
So often from people who become addicted to opioids and to fentanyl in particular, which is even more powerful than prescription opioids, is that it all started with a backache. It started with feeling some sort of pain. They prescribed some of these prescription drugs, and then they moved on to something harder as they felt they needed that drug, that more powerful rush, just in order to feel normal. So what we're finding is that the lethal drug fentanyl begins its journey on a place called the dark web, which is an online network where criminals can conduct their business freely out in the open, and often they ask to be paid in Bitcoin. Accessing this network is pretty simple. All you need is a special browser.
All right, guys, welcome back to Crypto Pride, not financial advisor. Anything says not financial advice. How did I get into Bitcoin? How did I get into crypto? Well, guys, it started way back in 2013, 2012. I was watching a show called Drugs Incorporated on Nat Geo, I believe, channel. And, you know, it's about people that's into the drug life and drug dealers and getting caught and trying to evade police and everything. And I thought that was interesting. But one thing that stuck out for me was how they, did their transactions. In this one episode, the guy was making all his transactions using Bitcoin. And I just thought that was amazing. I was like, oh man, it's a good technology. He can't get caught. Easy to transfer funds. And I just thought that was very, very interesting. And from that day on, I decided, how can I get Bitcoin? Because I just thought it was cool. I said, this technology is going to take off. And here we are, 20 years later, 10 years later, 15 years later, and Bitcoin is like the talk of the town pretty much. But what actually is Bitcoin? Bitcoin is a type of digital currency, digital money. It's like cash, but it's completely online. It was invented in 2008 by an anonymous person or a group of people using the name Satoshi Nakamoto. Instead of it being controlled by a government or a bank, Bitcoin runs on a network of computers all over the world using something called a blockchain, a special kind of database that records every transaction and makes it nearly impossible to fake or cheat. Everything's recordable on a blockchain. It's all public record. People like Bitcoin because it's decentralized. There's no governments involved, no middlemen, limited supply. Only 21 million coins will exist and can be sent anywhere in the world pretty much instantly. So that's the benefits of Bitcoin. That's what's Bitcoin. How to buy Bitcoin. You can buy Bitcoin pretty much everywhere now. You got Coinbase. You got crypto.com. Interesting fact, back in 2012 when I was watching this show, the price of Bitcoin, the closing price for Bitcoin and BTC, short term for Bitcoin, in 2012 was $13.45 on December 31st, 2012. It was up 185% for the year. The latest price right now, as of today, is $94,144. So when Bitcoin was listed on Coinbase, the price was $13.45. A year later, when I found out about Bitcoin and I got my Coinbase account, I remember Bitcoin was like at $600. I remember buying my first Bitcoin at $600. Man, I look back now, I wish I would have never sold it at all, to tell you the truth. But hey, times change. You live and you learn. But that's the interesting fact about Bitcoin. That's how I got into crypto. And I've been in crypto ever since. I've been into what we call DeFi, decentralized finance, RI dApps. Right now I'm going towards more like liquidity providing, yield farming. That's the way to go. That's the real way to make money in crypto is yield farming, providing liquidity.
Drug dealers don't buy Bitcoin. Drug dealers like cash, because cash, no one can trace it, right? The only time you might get caught is when you try and put it in a bank, right? Crypto, from the moment of Bitcoin is mined till the day till forever, every transaction can be mapped. The Australian Federal Police and a bunch of other guys, the FBI, they use products called elliptic or chain analysis. They can track a Bitcoin transaction through 50 different wallets, right? Even if you divide it up and send it to 10 different wallets, they can track all that. So this is what the exchanges use If one of your wallets has been involved with gambling or dark web, they will flag you as maybe amber, right? You've got an amber flag. That, in some jurisdictions, that's like gambling, that's high risk and people can't touch you. Some of the exchanges have different appetites for risk, but Bitcoin does not disappear. There's a reason that the biggest fraud and like money laundering is not like crypto, it's HSBC and Deutsche Bank and those guys, right?
It seems sometimes that governments use this sort of allure of crime and this sort of money laundering to, I guess, put their own agendas on cryptocurrency, whether that's sort of increasing regulation or banning it, without recognizing that, the majority of money laundering, the majority of crime happens with real cash in traditionally well-known and regulated banks.
Now, you've seen how Bitcoin was back in the past, what people use Bitcoin for. Fast forward March 6, 2025, you have the establishment of the Strategic Bitcoin Reserve and United States Digital Asset Stockpile. Bitcoin was once frowned upon. Now the government is getting involved. By the authority vested in me as president by the Constitution and the laws of the United States of America, is hereby ordered. Section 1 background: Bitcoin is the original cryptocurrency. The Bitcoin protocol permanently caps the total supply of Bitcoin at 21 million coins and has never been hacked. As a result of its scarcity and security, Bitcoin is often referred to as digital gold because there is fixed supply of BTC. There's a strategic advantage of being among the first nations to create a strategic Bitcoin reserve. The United States government currently holds a significant amount of BTC, but has not implemented a policy to maximize BTC strategic position as a unique store of value in the global financial system, just as it is in our country's interest to thoughtfully manage national ownership and control of any other resource. Our nation must harness, not limit, the power of digital assets for our prosperity. Section 2, policy, is the policy of the United States to establish a strategic Bitcoin reserve. It is further the policy of the United States to establish a United States digital asset stockpile that can serve as a secure account for orderly and strategic management of the United States other digital asset holdings. And then Section 3, creation and administration of the Strategic Bitcoin Reserve, United States Digital Asset Stockpile. So guys, if you haven't been bullish on Bitcoin, I think now is the time to be bullish on Bitcoin. Start stacking, because they saying Bitcoin's going to get to 100,000, 200,000, 300,000, a million, 2 million are the projections. So if you want to store value, just like gold is a store of value, you want digital store of value, the number one cryptocurrency to get is Bitcoin. Guys, if you like this type of video, I ask that you like, comment, and definitely subscribe. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace out.